Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and I'm joined as always by David.
I come in peace.
And David's mic's sounding great. We went through some rigorous testing before we started to make sure everything was good and there was no friction.
Nope. I hope that everyone loves the next 2 episodes of Ace being the final 2 episodes of Ace. It's going to be fantastic.
I just, the phrase mountain and molehill comes to mind, but that's okay. We're here to celebrate 2025 with an end of year special. This is not a review episode like we normally have. We've got a list of categories we're going to go through and pick some winners based on all the episodes, all the movies we did in 2025. Starting with, for the record, our first episode of the year was RoboCop 3, and the final episode of the year was Tarantula, and everything in between.
Fantastic. I will say RoboCop 3 probably isn't the best way to start off the year, but it wasn't the worst conceivable way.
Oh, we definitely did worse than RoboCop 3 during the year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I'm not saying it's a great movie, right? But we definitely we sunk further below that depth. I think it's fair to say. So, a bunch of categories to go through. We'll discuss, and we'll ultimately pick a winner. And we do have to agree on winners for the vast majority of these, I think. Okay. So that is how we're going to do it. So there'll be a little bit of a debate. We did this for Screams After Midnight as well, me and Tim. Of course, we're also going to do it for Collector's Cut, so hopefully you enjoy all these end-of-year specials, rounding out the sort of the... It's not even technically the end of the year, I think, because the first one's going out on New Year's Day, and then it's like and the second and the fourth of the month, so it's like kind of like the start of the year, a little onslaught of episodes. So, yes, without further ado, we'll get into it. So... First up, and we can kind of talk about the first 2 together here because they're kind of related, because it's a best and a worst kind of thing. Okay. But numbers 1 and 2 are best and worst title of the year. Which movie had the best title? Which movie had the worst title of anything? Now, I have to admit, when we did this on Screams, like, so many of the titles were just kind of boring. There wasn't really a lot sticking out as being particularly bad or particularly good. So I'm curious if we get to something a little bit more interesting here.
Okay. Well, I'll put out worst title. I think first, and it's kind of a weird one because it's not. I don't think technically an English title, but I'm gonna say Ikari XB1 might be the worst title because that's impossible to remember. It doesn't flow off the tongue. It's not very good for like exactly remembering what the movie's about either. I'd say that's probably up there for me.
I see what you're saying. I think there is a weird asterisk there because it is a foreign title. Because technically, that originally did get converted into an English title that was nothing like that one. It was like Voyage to the End of the Universe or something like that.
Yes.
So it's kind of a weird one because it wasn't supposed to... I mean, it kind of is because it is just the name, I suppose. But at the very least, it's not like... Like you say, it's maybe hard to remember the exact title, but I feel like you remember that it's a weird title, at least. Whereas, if I'm looking at, say, Ash, do you think in 5 years, if I say, what was Ash, you're going to remember what that movie was?
I mean, correct, but I don't put that on the title. I put that to being a boring-ass movie.
That's also fair.
I put that being on a nothing movie at all.
That's all fair. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I will say, if we're talking actually, like, 2025 release... Begonia, great movie. I don't think the title makes you think of what happens in that movie at all. It is just completely separated from all that. But it is unique. I'll give it that it's a very unique title where as long as you remember the word Begonia, you know exactly what you're talking about.
That's my thing, is that sometimes if it's unique enough, at least it might get by on just being easy to kind of place it. Yeah, and this does include everything. This is everything we did this year, good, new and old, unless otherwise stated in the category. I would say some good titles sticking out in me, regardless of the movie. I would maybe throw out Mickey 17 as a good title because it's a little bit weird, right? I tend to dislike movies where the name is just the name of a person, especially when it's like a normal name. But I think having 17 is such a weird number to throw after it that it is a little bit more intriguing. So I think that's got a good title. I would say that.
I'd say so.
Bad title? I'll
Yeah.
throw out Megalopolis as because it's like so close to Metropolis, but
Yeah.
just kind of weirder and I don't know, harder to remember at first.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. If I'm throwing out a good title, I'm actually going to say They Clone Tyrone. It's snappy, catchy, tells you the plot, and also it has a little bit of a rhyme going to it. So I think that's a solidly good title there.
It's got a bit more going for it than, say, I don't know, like something like Frequency, which is not a bad title, but it is so like just one word kind of whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For another bad title, this might just be my own personal thing. I don't know why I have this in my head, but Virtuosity. For some reason, every time I hear that, the first thing that comes to mind is not virtual, like the virtual world. It's virtuous, like being good and whatnot. And that's obviously not at all what the movie has to be.
I don't know. I'm kind of into that because of how like campy cyberpunk it sounds, but I get what you're saying.
Right.
I get what you're saying. I mean, as far as anything else, I mean, Linoleum's not a great title because even after watching it, I'm still not entirely sure why it was called Linoleum.
Counterpoint, Moon, fantastic title.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple, it's straight to the point. I can't argue with that. Oh dear, it's weird though because like technically we could pick Godzilla, and Godzilla's a great title.
True. It is.
And
it is.
This is a problem we encountered on the Screams one as well because we happen to have done It Follows this year. It's like, oh, so like some of these categories are just going to be swept by It Follows because it's like a phenomenal like masterpiece of a movie. And I feel like Godzilla here, I'm looking at that and going, yeah, like what title on here is more iconic sounding than Godzilla?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I will say the ones that are like single word titles are very much on the extremes. They're very much either they work for me or I think they're crap. For instance, if we're discounting the word the, I'm going to say The Island. That's a horrible name. That doesn't stick in my head at all about it. It sounds like it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie more so than a Michael Bay thriller.
Yeah. Yeah, you're always discounting that or A at the start. Unless it's like Fast and the Furious where you've got one movie that's got the then one that doesn't, then you have to differentiate between them. But
be dicks about it.
Yeah, because they're terrible. Yeah, no, I think that's a good pick. Sequels are kind of weird because it's just, you know, because like if the original RoboCop was here, I'd be arguing for that, but I'm not going to give RoboCop 3 cred for RoboCop's naming.
No, of course not. I mean, I will give credit for whenever they do a sequel and don't try to tack on like a subtitle that barely makes sense. You know, those subtitles that are just there for the sake of differentiation rather than it's actually trying to, like Avatar 3 Fire and Ash. That's a fine subtitle. It's saying exactly what the focus of the movie is, how we're doing there. But I can think of so many other movie series, Fast and the Furious being one of them, where it's like they just throw on random subtitles, drop them just as easily just to try to differentiate.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't mind the subtitle. Like, it can be as silly as it wants, I mean, unless it just sounds stupid. But I would prefer the number was still there. Like, you know, because you said Avatar 3 Fire and Ash, but it's actually not. It's just Avatar Fire and Ash. And I kind of wish it just had the 3 in there. Just for convenience sake. And it's, you know, it's almost they're trying to hide that it's a sequel because they don't want people to be scared away by a number. And that's the whole thing. So, yeah, I think Save the Green Planet is a good title. I think that's catchy. It's got a little bit of a weirdness because you think of it, Earth as a blue planet, so you sort of go, "What's the green planet? Why is it green?"
Yeah. Also, just a personal one I like, Companion. I think that it's clever from the viewpoint of if you know what the story is. Well, I don't want to spoil it because it is very specifically a reveal, but if you know the story, I think that it's a very good title for that in multiple ways.
Is it a good title before you know that though? Is it sticking out particularly if you just see the list Companion and a list of movies and you don't know what it is yet?
Without the poster to accompany, probably not. Yeah. I think if it's just the word, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not really working for me.
Because I think, not a sci-fi movie, obviously, but I always go back to Silence of the Lambs, where that name means so much once you've watched the movie, but it's already a good title when you have no idea what it means, because it just sounds so unique, you know?
Yeah, I gotcha. If we're going by that, then I think... If we're putting forward actual, like, real, honest to God, what we would think is number one, I'm going to go back to They Clone Tyrone. I think that it gets across the plot. It sounds interesting in its own right. It gets across kind of the comedy aspect that the movie has as well. And it does just all that in 3 words in a very snappy way as well. So I think that one's honest to God a suggestion.
Yeah, but Godzilla.
All right, well, yeah, you got me there.
Like it's a unique ass word. I mean, it is just one word, but it's such a unique made up word that you don't, and
yeah. But here's the thing, like, it's impossible to divorce that from your mind. You know what Godzilla is because it's always been around. But can you imagine that you have never, ever even imagined the giant creature of Godzilla? You're back in the 1950s and you just see that word written down. Do you think it would still have the same punch?
I mean, the same punch? That's maybe a weird question because obviously it can't have the same punch because I know what Godzilla is. But more of a punch than They Clone Tyrone? I could argue that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you've got the first part, which is God, and then Zilla, which sounds like a lizard. God lizard? What is this? What is this thing?
Fair.
I
mean, we did also watch the original Japanese. Should it technically be Gojira instead?
I mean, it's always been translated as Godzilla, though.
Yeah, all right.
So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm looking at best titles here, I think it's between probably Godzilla, Save the Green Planet, and those are my
Revenge of the Sith.
No, I can piss off. Yeah, I think, and to be fair, I actually do think Europa Report's a good title. Right, regardless of how we ended up feeling about the movie, I do think that's got a catchy title, Europa Report. It's got a nice flow to it as well, like Europa Report. It feels like those 2 words belong together.
Yeah, no, it definitely works. The Ropa and Report just flow nicely. I will say, as much as I love the movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is impossible to keep straight in your mind if you are not already familiar with the movie.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think it is a good title and that it's very unique and it's easy to shorten because you can just say Eternal Sunshine and people get what you're saying. But I wouldn't put it above Godzilla or Save the Green Planet or a couple of these other ones. Yeah, I mean, a lot of other ones are just kind of fine. Like something like Caddo Lake is okay, but I don't think it necessarily turns you on to the type of movie it's going to be. That could just as easily be a drama about a family who live by a lake and, they're fishing one summer.
I mean, honest to God, Pete, I probably have an upper hand on this category than you do because most of the times you put these things on the list, I don't know what they are. I have no clue. And all I see is the name. And like when you had sitting on here for a while, Save the Green Planet, I kept looking at that and thinking like, what, like, this doesn't strike me as a sci-fi sounding thing. It sounds more like an environmental film before anything else. It sounds like we're doing a documentary about, and like Al Gore's about to step out and tell us about why we can reduce our carbon footprint.
But weren't you intrigued by that title though? You were like, what's that? What's that about? Got you thinking?
Yes, I guess, yes, I was intrigued. I'll give you that much.
Yeah. Like, I think They Clone Tyrone is a kind of a catchy meta quality to it, but I don't think it like captures me. Like, it almost is just too straightforward in telling me what the movie is, as opposed to something that sort of entices me but doesn't completely give it away. I would say, All
right, yeah. I mean, I guess if we're coming down to Godzilla versus Save the Green Planet, I'll cede They Clone Tyrone. If we're coming down between those two, I think I am leaning more towards Godzilla. I think Save the Green Planet is catchy in its own right, but I think it does suffer the same sort of thing as They Clone Tyrone. Not in that it's like too revealing of exactly what it is we're doing, but it might kind of lead to a different idea as to what we're getting comparatively. So I'm willing to agree on Godzilla, but I'm just hoping that it's not something where Godzilla sweeps literally every category.
I don't think it will. But I think it does have a good title, like, regardless of its legacy and like just how amazing the movie is and important as it is. It's a good title, and I think it sticks out amongst other sci-fi classics as well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, there's other titles that would rival it, like, I don't know. Like, but I mean, I think good sci-fi titles like Godzilla, The Terminator, 2001: A Space Odyssey, like these are all very, like, stark titles that really, like, come out at you, but they're all intriguing in some way. What is a Terminator? I understand what termination is. I understand what it is to terminate something, but what is a Terminator? Like, you know,
it's a movie about someone in HR who's just really good at firing people.
They're just firing people all day. Yeah. So no, I think Godzilla takes best title. But I think there's a couple of categories where it likely will take the win. But I think that's the weird fun quality of doing this, just based on what we did in the year. If we did some classics, and besides, if and when we do this next year, like all the Godzilla sequels we end up doing, like I don't think you know,
Godzilla raids again.
Yeah, is going to win best title. You know, I mean, I think some of those titles are a little bit fun, but we'll probably go for something a bit more unique sounding as opposed to just another sequel.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Having said that, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, is a good title, so we'll see.
It is.
We'll see.
Right above Last Jedi.
All right, worst title though then, since we've got best title.
If we're just talking about titles, I do agree with Megalopolis being like up there. It really is just a very poor title. That I guess like I am bringing a little bit into it. I am bringing a little bit of what I know into it. Is that if I see Metropolis listed next to Megalopolis, there's nothing that really differentiates the two title naming wise. Like they both sound more or less equal footing. But it does just come across as confusing, I guess. It depends on, like, do I have knowledge of Metropolis, and do I think this is just trying to do that again? Also, Ash, we brought that up. That title does nothing. It brings zero things to mind. There is no reason to think of that as a sci-fi movie or any type of movie on top of that.
No. Need fire and in front of it to space it up a little bit.
James Cameron's a hack who stole the premise of Ash.
No, I think I'll agree with Megalopolis. I think that's the pick here out of everything. I mean, although if you wanted to go with like super generic sounding, I mean, I think Universal Soldier 3 Unfinished Business could get a shout there, but
I only have it listed on our little spreadsheet on Universal Soldier 3. I forgot that was the subtitle. That is a horrible subtitle.
Yeah, you've been slacking on these titles. You've just got Avatar 3 instead of Fire and Ash as well. Luckily, I remember these things.
Hey, I copy and pasted over from our other spreadsheet where it's also in as those things.
Did I rate them on that one?
You do, right? You have to write them somewhere because I'm not putting them in.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, either I will be more thorough in the initial entering of the titles, or you can take the initiative.
Or you'll yell at me more. I wonder which one you'll pick.
Little column A, little column B. All right. Next up, best FX of the year. Now.
Ooh.
And this isn't just like the newest movie with it, because obviously Avatar 3 would probably just instantly win if that was the case. And there's an argument that it still should win in a lot of ways, but it can be relevant to its time period, of course. It could be like in the design of like the practical effects or whatever it may be. But this is something, we didn't do this award on Screams. I think it's really suitable though, especially for Ace, to have this, because science fiction tends to have a lot of this stuff. So...
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So already out the door, Borderlands, Megalopolis.
Hey.
I would
Hey, David. Next category is worse, so keep these in your pocket. Keep these in your pocket.
Gotcha. All right. Trying to think which ones will really stand out to me.
I think the problem with a lot of modern stuff is that there's just sort of like a accepted amount of, because I would say, like, you know, Jurassic World, Rebirth, Predator, Badlands, you know, like, they're all obviously solid, but I don't think any of them stand out as having amazing, you know, like you know, if I'm going with a modern movie, it's going to be Avatar, Fire and Ash, like, no question.
Right. It feels like you were bringing up the time period. It's something that needs to feel strong within its own time. So, like, there are still, again, I don't think it wins this, but there are arguments for Godzilla. There are arguments for the way that they use, like, the miniatures and stuff like that. Nowadays, it doesn't stand up at all, but it is for the time fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, it's probably not going to like win or anything, but I would say that like what's in Back to the Future Part 3 looks absolutely fantastic and holds up for its time.
I'll also throw out Gravity. I think
that's
Gravity
a good
does
one.
A great job.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, because it's all effects basically. It has to be.
And at no point does it ever feel like it's doing effects. It feels like it is doing a very strong job of making it feel real.
Oh, in a similar vein, to an extent to Godzilla, Ikari XB1 was like there was definitely elements of it that looked very old school, but there was also elements of it that felt like it was pushing things forward in a way that felt really notable for it.
I remember the cinematography being that way. I don't remember the effects being that way.
I'm thinking there's just, I mean, not all of them, but there's very some specific moments, particularly outside the ship or stuff when they're in their astronaut suits and they're creeping around. I don't know. There was just, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't quite, stand up enough to win this, but I just think it's worth the, although arguably, this is not really what the award is, but one could argue that if you love the cheesiness of a certain type of effect, even if it's not good, because I would argue that the effects and virtuosity brought me much joy, not necessarily because they're the best, but they've aged delightfully.
No, right? Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. It's weird. Obviously we're filming this around the end of the new year. I was with my family for Christmas, and there was this whole discussion on how like pretty much everybody independently was just kind of going back to the 90s. Like we were all going back to like wanting that kind of home media, like closed off aesthetic where like not everything is digitized and online all the time. And I feel like Virtuosity is the peak of that era, the peak of like, we're right on the cusp of being there, but we're not quite there yet.
Yep. I think that's fair. Looking down the list here, I think Revenge of the Sith, I don't like the effects. I think the green screen work is bad in it, just because I know someone's going to bring it up, so I'm throwing that out right away.
I'll put out Mickey 17. The general effects I don't think are anything too fantastic, but having multiple Robert Pattinsons there felt flawless the whole time. There was never any major issues with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I suppose, to go back to Star Wars for a second, I think you got Force Awakens here. That arguably could be a contender. And admittedly, again, if I was picking a modern movie, I'd be picking Avatar over it, but it's probably worth mentioning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of things that it did in the movie that felt fantastic, but nowadays it does feel a little bit faded because everything is at that point or above right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if anything else is sticking out to me, particularly for being good effects, or at least heavy in the effects. Like I think Moon has like what it needs to do its job, but I wouldn't, put it up front for this. I suppose maybe I could say if we're going for charm, I do kind of like a lot of the effects that were in Brainstorm, and a lot of the like, we're inside the head and we're seeing stuff. Like there's some fun qualities to that.
Yeah, but, I agree. But I think out of everything, I don't know if you're going to put a different one, but I think my number one pick would be Gravity. I think that's if as much as I like Avatar: Fire and Ash, I don't feel like it was pushing things forward as much as as Way of Water was, and it is good for what it is, but like it is like still where it's at. It's still like kind of what I expect from James Cameron. I know. Go ahead.
Well, that's what's funny is that objectively, no, it didn't push things forward because Cameron went on a whole bit about how when they were developing the tech for 2 and 3, they got it so far ahead of everything else so that they wouldn't have to update it again for 3, 4, or 5. So in theory, everything up to Avatar 5 should all look similar, but it's but with that, keeping in mind though that it's all far ahead of what everyone else is doing, and I think that's still a fair statement. It may not be as fair once by the time 5 comes out, obviously, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah. No, you're right, and that again, that's a comparison point where it's the sort of thing of, because I've seen Way of Water, this feels less impressive, but compared to literally anything that Disney or Marvel or anything like that have been putting out ever, this is miles ahead of that regardless.
Yeah. Or even the stuff that Disney technically own now. Like the recent Apes movies are so far ahead of it than Disney or like your Star Wars or Marvel are doing.
That's true.
I don't mind Gravity as a choice though. I actually think Gravity's a good pick because Gravity kind of relies upon its effects. It's it's very thorough. It's not as showy as Avatar is. It's a lot more kind of trying to feel grounded. Whether or not it actually is another question. But like, it's just the zero gravity, of course, in the space station and stuff like that. You've got a lot of the physics at play. The big endings, all very visual, spectacular stuff. Without it being battles and CG figures, and that's actually maybe an argument against it. As much as great as Avatar is it kind of nice that it's not like a CG face that you're looking at? Like, is that still more pleasing to the eye? And I think there's an argument for that. So I think I'm happy to say and agree that Gravity does take best effects of anything we covered this year. So. And it's still pretty modern. I mean, obviously it's over a decade old, but it's still relatively, because effects haven't actually, outside of like James Cameron's work, haven't really advanced that much. It's like James Cameron and the Apes movies. Those are the things that have pushed things forward. Everything else is kind of stagnant and has been for a while.
That's one of those things that like it's going to be written somewhere in like a visual effects history book where it's like, and for a decade, the only things that were moving along were blue aliens and talking monkeys. And it's like, oh, okay. Weird.
Yeah. To be fair, though, Cameron has been pushing effects forward since The Abyss in 1989, True. So it's been very much on brand for him for a long time.
Oh, he'll have a whole chapter of the book devoted to him, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right, next up, worst FX. So this is interesting. Now, unfortunately, the first collector's cut that will count for 2026 isn't here because that would have definitely won because it did have stuff in space and it looked terrible. But that is not what we're doing here today. Okay.
So if I'm just going down the list here, Borderlands sucked. I don't remember if that was effects specifically, but I know it didn't look good by the time we got to the climax.
I don't think the effects were like stand out bad for a modern, like they weren't. I mean, they weren't great, but like I don't remember it sticking out as being, oh, this looks unfinished effects wise or anything like that.
True.
So
I just remember the climax being so disappointing with the effects.
The first one that jumps out to me is The Gorge because like the green screen work was so distracting.
Yeah. I mean, it's still. It doesn't feel like it's awfully done in the fact of like there's incompetence or anything like that. For me, it just feels like they had such low expectations of what they expected from the movie, so they put in like this level of effort. Like they knew like, oh, we're not getting a major theater release or anything, so here's where we're at.
Yeah, which I'm fine with that in terms of like, bad effects for any reason, really.
No, you're right.
Does it for me?
I mean, if we're going down the line, I do need to bring up Barbarella. As much as it's cheesy and supposed to be that, it was bad effects.
You didn't like the shag carpet in the spaceship?
That was, honest to God, the only image I have in my head is her being strapped into like the pleasure machine or whatever it was. And like, that was just the worst of it.
Yeah. And that came out I think the same year as 2001. And just look at how the effects in that have aged versus Barbarella, which I know is cheesier and it's meant to be pulpy and whatever. But
show me the alternate universe where there's Stanley Kubrick's Barbarella. Give me that.
Yeah. Europa Report was a little rough around the edges, but I feel bad picking on that for effects because it was a low budget movie and they were kind of making do with what they had, and they weren't making terrible choices from an effects point of view. The script needed some work, but the effects, I think they made some smart choices with.
I'll put out Universal Soldier 3 and 2 by extension because they're basically
one big movie. Yeah.
One big movie. Both of them suck horribly. The effects are like non-existent. They may as well just be a CW show at this point.
The only reason why I'd argue against them is not because I disagree per se. I just don't remember that many like attempts at having effects, I guess.
Oh no. Well, that's the thing. Is like the first one, they at least brought up gore and stuff like that. They brought up like limbs being missing, but this one it's like, oh no, I've been shot. Look, there's a hole in my jacket. That's how you know I've been shot.
I will say Evolution, well, it looks a little dated in places now. One of the things we said as a positive when we reviewed that is it did feel like they actually put a lot of money into the effects. Like, regardless of anything else, they were aiming for a good looking movie at the time. So I wouldn't pick that.
No,
so that's fair.
We haven't mentioned for any of these categories yet Artifice Girl. That one, again, not very effects heavy. In fact, I'm pretty sure there might not be any effects in that,
Not
like,
really
at all. But it is, if there is any effects with the girl in that, then it's pretty well done as far as I could tell.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely not in running for what. Oh, actually, I know what the worst is. I've just my eyes just caught it. Surrogates wins this. I hated the effects in that movie. Every single weird CG de-aged face is actively ugly every single second they're on screen. That has to be the winner. Nothing else here competes.
I'm finding it hard to argue. I was so much more focused on the surrogates that we see that are just the actual people, like that aren't de-aged, that I completely forgot about, like Bruce Willis's de-aged surrogate. And yeah, that one was horrible.
And even some of the other ones had like some smoothing going on to make them look more artificial. And it's just ugly every single, like, as much as I hate some of the green screen stuff in The Gorge, I don't know if anything is actively hurt. You know, like the effects in Surrogates, well, the movie's not good anyway, it's bad and for lots of reasons. The effects are such a detriment to even trying to enjoy it that it completely kills it. Almost, it's DOA because of how bad it looks.
Yeah, no, I agree. It just, I guess I blocked that one out. I was like, oh no, Surrogates, that's just the one with the all the weird like cloned people, and then I just remembered smoothed out Bruce Willis. And yeah, you're right.
There you go. Worst FX goes to Surrogates.
Yep.
Next up, the horniest movie that we did in 2025.
Ooh. All right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
This is interesting actually, because
this is
all
right. So
on you go.
All right. My first two, just looking at the whole list as a whole, my first two that jump to mind are The Gorge, where they literally put the entire world in danger because of how horny they are, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, because Elijah Wood is a creep, and that's enough to like make the whole movie weird.
Oh, creepy horny. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll mention Avatar: Fire and Ash because Varang's become like a new sex icon. Everyone's standing her. That has to count for something. Not like, I'll admit I did have like some more obvious picks when I did this on streams. The stuff isn't sticking out to me quite as much here.
Oh yeah.
In Virtuosity, he wasn't really into sex, was he? He wasn't like gunning for ladies. No.
Nope. He was all about power and whatnot.
Yeah. So we can't really include that. I mean, Megalopolis has probably the most notable scene with a boner in it all year.
It does. You know what? I'm going to put that on the same level with Eternal Sunshine. Shia LaBeouf in that movie, and
John Voight.
Why am I blanking on his name? John Voight. Yep. Yeah. Both of them combined easily get to the level of Elijah Wood.
I wasn't even thinking of the anti-platinum scene when I was said that. Okay, now I've thought of that. Okay, it's Megalopolis is the winner. I don't think anything else here is compared. I'm just looking down the list. I don't think anything else.
Which is weird because like the horniness is such a small aspect of it, but it's so intense where it is. It's just eclipsing it.
It completely takes over the movie once it does come in, though. It's like, oh, that's all you're thinking about now is just how weirdly horny it is. I think I joked when we did the review that Coppola had been watching some dodgy videos on Pornhub, and that inspired a couple of the scenes. But that's how it feels when you're watching it.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
We should mention Barbarella, though, because it is all about
of course,
sex in space.
But it's weird because, like, while it is sex in space, it somehow feels so, like, casual about it that it doesn't feel horny. It just feels like, no, this is just how things are.
It's too nonchalant. I mean, maybe this is the modern warped brains of like, Megalopolis is horny because it's getting into taboo subjects, whereas Barbarella's, that's too vanilla. It's not even registering on the sexometer anymore.
That's true. Honorable mention, I don't expect it to eclipse, but bring up Brainstorm, where the entire like plot basically kicks off because they were getting horny with the new technology.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. But I think Megalopolis has taken this.
Yeah. The only award it will win in any most category.
Well, there's some other negative ones. It might, get one or two of those, but yeah, Megalopolis is the horniest movie of the year. Next up, the award for being up its own ass. The most pretentious
Megalopolis. Wow, come on down, collect your prize.
I mean, honestly, that probably is the winner. Let me just scan quickly and make sure there's nothing else here sticking out to me.
Yeah.
What else could possibly be up its own ass?
The Island, maybe.
It's too. It wants to be an action movie too much to be up its own ass quite the same way. You know what? I've looked down the entire list. It's Megalopolis. Nothing else even comes close.
Man. Nope. I mean, at the very least, things like Linoleum, Begonia, ones that are more like arty films, at the very least, they're saying something. Like they are actually doing something rather than just being pretentious for the sake of it. But yeah, there's no way they get anywhere close to Megalopolis.
No. Okay, there you go. That was really easy and quick. But yeah, Megalopolis. I love how you said it won't want anything else. The very next award, instantly Megalopolis.
I didn't expect up their own ass to be a category, but yeah.
Anyway, next up, we have the weirdest movie we did in 2025. There's probably an argument that Megalopolis could win that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, it's up there. It definitely is.
But to be fair, though, this isn't inherently a positive or negative award. It could be a movie we like, it could be a movie we hate. Doesn't really matter.
All right, I'm going through the list, and I'm basically just gonna highlight the blockbusters and like remove them from the running because I don't feel like anything with a Star Wars or a Jurassic World, anything like that. None of those are gonna have a chance. So outside of those, I think hard to pick between the two, but Save the Green Planet / Begonia. Those
they're
are
definitely weird.
They are definitely weird ones.
Quirky for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'll also put out Eternal Sunshine. It doesn't seem so weird now, but I feel like at the time it definitely was one of the more like out there. Like it's been adopted more into like indie culture where it seems more normal now.
Yeah, I think one of the weird things, no pun intended, about this award for us is that we're a lot more used to a lot of the concepts here. I think to an average person who only watches mainstream movies, that probably is a weird movie. I think to me, though, it's like, that's just a typical, well, not typical, but it's like a pretty straightforward sci-fi concept. It's not that weird to me. But that's fair. But maybe we could do better than that. I mean, Animal Kingdom's got someone turning into an animal over the course of the movie. Is that a little bit weird?
Yeah, it's strange though, because the movie gets you into the concept so easily that by the time you're like a quarter of the way through, you just kind of accept it. You're just like, yeah, okay, that's what it is. Okay. Solaris, not the original, obviously. No. It's a remake / adaptation, but it is in concept kind of weird to begin with.
I consider mentioning that for Up Its Own Ass, to be fair. Now, which is not to say that I think the original's up his own ass. Maybe it is a little bit, but I mean, Tarkovsky's got the right to be up his own ass. But the remake, is more hollow, and so it feels a bit more up its own ass. But still, nothing compared to Megalopolis. For weirdness, though, if I'm looking, I don't know if we did anything truly that weird. I mean, like, does Virtuosity kind of touch on weird? I mean, I guess it stuck out to me how kind of like flamboyant the villain was once he got going, but I don't know if that's weird per se.
Yeah, that just feels like quirky more than weird. That just feels like one little choice in there, not the whole movie. Oh dear. Yeah, do we have anything? I mean, honestly, Save the Green Planet probably is the winning pick right now for me. Because I think that over Begonia, because it has that zaniness, I think, just a little bit more than Begonia does. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Begonia doesn't have a sequence where we cut to a circus and then just leave that alone again. Like, yeah, if it's between the two of them, Save the Green Planet definitely wins out.
Yeah, I think it's Save the Green Planet. I think that's what we're picking here. All right. Weirdest movie we did this year, Save the Green Planet. Next up. All right, so this is a serious award.
Oh, okay.
Best looking movie of the year.
Ooh. So, okay, are we going by, like, of the time, or are we just saying, like, flat out, compared all on an equal standing of right now, how they look?
I almost think that's a relevant question, because this is about... Because this is not best effects, this is not best, visual quality, this is best looking
like
as in cinematography. Yeah. So I don't think the time period even... If anything, I think older movies have an advantage here, because a lot of new movies look very clean and digital.
True.
So this might be one where Godzilla comes in and says, "Hey, You know,
It could be. Yeah.
here's some haunting images. I'm taking this award one more time. I know you want to say Universal Soldier 2. I understand why.
No,
Gary
no.
Busey smiling at you through the camera. I get that touches your soul.
Look,
right?
I would be saying Universal Soldier 2 if it wasn't for like 2 months later when we did Electric State, because that is magnifique, let me say.
I think Electric State might be the most boring looking movie of the year.
It might be. Is that the next category? Should we hold off on that?
No, that's not a category. Although maybe that's unfair, because maybe at least some of the robot designs that came from that artwork at least look cool design wise. So other bad boring movies don't have that at the very least. But
You say that, but like I've looked at the book, like I have leafed through that book to see what it looks like, and like yes, it's better, but also all the ones you remember from the movie are not from the book. It was actively trying to like avoid the ones from the book.
well, F it, and F Chris Pratt.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll wait for home video for Mercy. I'm not seeing that in theaters.
Thank God.
We're not doing
Thank
that.
God. That was sitting on our schedule for a while.
Yeah, I took that off. I'm like, no. We'll do that later. It's fine.
Right.
Okay, so other great looking movies here that stick out to me. Sort of glancing down the list, I do think Ikari XB1. You know, we mentioned the cinematography in that being particularly good, especially for the era. So that sticks out to me. I think Midnight Special is a good looking movie. You know, I don't know if it's going to necessarily compete with Godzilla, but I think it's worth the mention. For sure.
I feel like it is the highest possible you could get in like the indie category. It feels like very, very well done for someone who's outside of like the normal studio circle sort of things, but it does feel like it still is trapped in that sort of circle where, you know, certain shots, like when they're filming in the hotel room, I feel like I've seen all of those shots like 1,000 times, you know?
I would also throw out Begonia, actually. I think cinematography. Like, I think when we were comparing Begonia and Save the Green Planet, I think the one area where Begonia was absolutely winning was cinematography, because you know, everything's very intentionally framed. I mean, it's 4:3 just to be extra quirky, but like everything's very like kind of like just framed immaculately, and everything has this kind of like visual punch to it in a way that you know, I think Begonia probably, out of all the ones I've said, is the one that could take on Godzilla the most. I'm not saying it will, but I think it's the closest to taking on Godzilla out of what I've said so far.
No, I'd agree. I definitely think it's very, very up there, because Godzilla's one of those ones where it has such striking visuals, but there are so many sequences in there that do just kind of feel like they are like the sequences where it's I don't want to call it a courtroom, but the meeting room, the auditorium, whatever it is. It doesn't feel inspired. It's good, but it doesn't feel like they are like really choosing that shot for a reason. Where I would say Begonia doesn't have as striking of visuals all the time, but consistently it has stronger visuals across the board.
It feels like every scene's kind of like been thought out, whereas Godzilla, yeah, you've got some sort of by the number scenes in between, but those scenes where it's going for big striking moments, it absolutely nails in a way that, you know, is the reason why it's iconic and it's still stuck around, and a lot of it is the visuals. So yeah, I mean, I think those are front runners. I mean, Gravity looks good, but I don't think in terms of, I think that it was right to give that effects. I think cinematography I would pull back a little bit compared to some of these others.
It's honest to God, it is kind of just the issue with having the backdrop of space. Like, yes, you get the feeling that you're in space, and it does a good job of that, but it's hard to get a striking visual when it's just, you either have Earth or blackness, and that's your only two choices.
Well, I think that's striking. It's just, there's just not a lot of variety to the strikingness.
Right, exactly. You get the one, and then it's like, well, that's your shot. You did.
Yeah, those are the ones that stick out to me. I'm just scanning up again, see if anything else, you know, because stuff like, you know, one of the reasons why I wasn't as in love with Companion is because I think it looks like such a typical like made for Netflix movie, you know.
Right.
So it's
I think I was a little bit better on it than you, but I'm not going to even pretend like it's up to the same level of Begonia or Godzilla.
Oh, of course, yeah. You know, and same with like, you know, the Gorge, maybe throw in that category as well, and a few other things. You know, whereas I do think something like, you know, when I brought up Midnight Special, I think Midnight Special is a much better looking movie than Companion. I think it's more, it feels like there's more of a visual style to it, you know.
Right.
And part of that may be down to taste, but I do think it's going for something, whereas I just feel like Companion isn't. It's just like, oh, this is just a typical movie looks like now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So,
I mean, if I'm picking out of our two front runners here, I think I would give the edge slightly to Begonia. I think that one does speak with just a little bit more artistry to it. Godzilla is striking. It is fantastic for what it is. But like, if again, we're talking in this viewpoint of we have learned so much more in like the 70 years since Godzilla. And I think that Begonia does take like full advantage of that. As much as I love the visuals of it, it's nothing that Begonia was not capable of / was doing themselves.
It's tough. I mean, because there's some shots in Godzilla that are so iconic. It's hard to imagine giving it to something else. But I do think out of all the movies we did this year, Begonia's the one that immediately within seconds of it starting, I'm like, oh, this is a visual feast. I can tell it's going to be this the whole way through. Like every single scene feels so intentional in every way. It's, you know, and the editing kind of is a part of that as well, where, you know, I'm just thinking of that sequence where Emma Stone at the start of the movie is like walking into her work and how much it just has this sense of pacing to everything versus anything else this year. So
yeah.
And I'll be interested. We'll go with Begonia. We'll go with Begonia.
Okay. And I do want to, we mentioned at the very beginning, but then kind of cast it aside. I do want to call out Ikari XP1. Like,
yes,
for the time, that was also very well shot, and it's very worth checking out even for modern day.
It's very effective. Obviously, if I'm comparing that one to one with Godzilla, I'm definitely picking Godzilla for visuals.
Right.
But I you know, it really stood out and was impressive in a way that I don't think we were expecting it to be visually. So, so yeah, okay. Best looking movie of the year is Begonia. Next up, best sounding movie of the year.
Oof. This one's a little bit harder for me. I've never been one that's that in tune to the sound, so I might follow your lead a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this can include the rest of the sound mix, but I feel like we're probably more likely going to gravitate towards the score and perhaps maybe... I mean, I think if you're bringing up Godzilla, for example, you can't discount the roar, right? You can't discount that type of thing.
I mean, yeah, the roar, like the 2 to 3 iconic songs from Godzilla that like everyone can just hum along to.
Yeah. You got that. You know, I do think Gravity sounds great. I think that's another big part of it. It's not just that it has great music, but also just the way that it uses the sound design of, sound doesn't travel in space, so they play with this idea of feeling the vibrations through anything they're touching, or it's always coming through the comms that they're talking through. It really adds to the sense of isolation in that movie, so I can't discount that at all either.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's anything that really hit me with the score, anything that like really sticks to me. I mean, not even Star Wars Revenge of the Sith got me there. Nothing in terms of like studio movies or anything in that front. Jurassic World Rebirth, I mean, didn't like criticize that they barely used the original score during that?
I think if I was just going to bring up something in that vein of like a sequel or whatever, I think the one that sticks out to me with the best sound is probably Back to the Future Part 3. One, because obviously the score that was made for the original is phenomenal, but I do think some of the new themes they added for 3 are also very good, like the Western style stuff that they kind of mixed into it is very good. I don't think it's going to win Best Sounding Movie of the Year, but I do think it is a very good sounding movie, and you know, it's probably better than like 70% of the movies on this list.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's without spoiling too much about it, the entire third act, like I feel the editing does a great job of the tension, all that, but the way the soundtrack mixed and weaved in there added so much to the tension to really sell it for like how big of a moment it was. And
I'm even thinking there's like a fight scene near the end where you'll get like a few notes of music and then someone will stumble because they've just been punched, and then you get a few more notes of music and then they'll stumble again.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, you know, there's a really nice sense of a pacing to the way the score's used in that sequence. So it's really inventive in that way.
Plus, I mean, for Back to the Future, I'll go ahead and do the entire Patrick Bateman, Huey Lewis in the News speech, because fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were very fond of when Journey started playing in Electric State, so I think we have to mention that.
Absolutely. Loved it.
I mean, looking down the list, see if anything else sticks out. And some people would probably argue Force Awakens. Obviously, it's very high quality, but it's not something that I'm going to be rooting for myself.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, look, you can tell me how great Rey's theme is. I don't know it. I have no idea what Rey's theme is.
I'm going too fast, but it's kind of like that.
Okay. That just sounded like a Disney ride to me, but all right.
Moon's got a good score. I really like the score to Moon. I think it elevates the film.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I would point that out.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, once you find the stuff that's already at the top of the bracket, it's kind of hard to go.
I know. I'm just
back down and say like,
I'm trying to give a shout to various things.
Yeah.
But this could very well just be Godzilla taking this one.
Yeah. I mean, we both gushed over it, and then as much as Gravity is, Gravity I think is a better like sound design. I think they do a better job of making it work for the story. There's just so much iconic Godzilla score and sound effects that it needs to be up there.
And obviously Gravity's technically better because it's obviously much newer, and like a lot of things have been refined over the years in terms of filmmaking, but I don't think you can discount just the sheer like, you know, how much of Godzilla they just had to come up with from scratch. Like it's one thing to say, oh yeah, 50 years later when everyone's reiterated for time and time again and we've all got it down to a science, but it wasn't a science when they did it for Godzilla. It was something they had to come up with in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think Godzilla takes best sounding movie of the year. So all right, there you go, best sounding movie of the year. Next up, our biggest disagreement of the year.
Ooh.
Which movie did we disagree on the most?
Okay, well, we mentioned it briefly already. I will bring up Companion. I think I was a lot more into that movie than you were.
I think that's fair, yeah. I didn't hate it. You know, I think there were some good things in there. But I thought there was a lot more that could have been done with the premise. I didn't like the light-hearted side of it, but you were obviously a lot more in touch with it.
Yeah. I thought it was a really good example of a black comedy. I think that it did a fantastic job of balancing the sort of horror tension elements of it while still keeping it very lighthearted throughout and making it flow seamlessly between the two for me.
Yeah, I'm like I said before we started to not focus on the scores we gave, but this is actually one that really helps to look at the scores and see where there's a difference, absolutely. Just to catch my eye. Yeah. I guess Running Man was a fair bit different.
That was decently different. I remember the big thing being like, does the message really work? Is that something that, and for me, I think that it was very solid. I appreciated the way they came out. Maybe I'm not as strong a couple weeks removed now as I was immediately coming out of the theater, but I do think that one landed for me a lot better than it did for you.
But you've soured on it a little bit by the side. So you want to retract any of your fighting words? Is that what you're saying?
Not soured in so much as, we're in the holiday season. We're all, joy and peace and mankind on earth. It's hard for me to say, let's burn down the system while we're at it.
Yeah, I will say there was definitely a bigger couple of disagreements on streams. Now, me and Tim usually are pretty agreeable, but there were just one or two movies that really stood out as being big disagreements. Whereas for us, it seems to be the biggest disagreement, and both of the examples we have given are about 2 points apart.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 6 and an 8, a 5 and a 7, that kind of thing.
I mean, very first one we did, RoboCop 3. I gave that a 6, you gave that a 4. So
sure. Yeah, but I think that's a weird one where, like, I don't think we actually disagreed on it that much. I think I kind of enjoy watching that as a bad movie. I just was being more objective with the score as much as, rather than disagreeing with what you were saying that much. I think you said one or two crazy things, but nothing that much.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I feel like it was more so of you didn't like what it did to the RoboCop franchise as a whole because you have an attachment to it. Meanwhile, I'm like sitting there like, whatever. It's just a normal whatever movie for me.
Yeah. I wouldn't pick RoboCop 3 for this category. No. I think Companion and Running Man are the ones that stick out to me. I feel like Running Man is the one where I wanted to make fun of you more. Like, I think I was like, oh, he's been like, because with Companion, I'm like, okay, I disagree, but I'm like, oh, I don't think he's been an idiot for what he's saying here. Running Man, I thought you were being an idiot.
All right, I will say, Running Man is the one that when we were done recording that, I was basically like, do people enjoy us arguing? Like, is that a thing that do they want to hear us talk constructively about this, or do they want us to sit here and go like, no, you idiot, what are you talking about?
I think there's a little bit of both. There's a middle ground in there where a little bit of sniping, a little bit of actual debate is what they probably want. But I would put forth Running Man because I think it was the more heated of the two as far as actually arguing our points.
I mean, if we really want to put it, it's the mic debate at the beginning of this episode. That's
before this right before we started this episode.
Before we started this one, that one, like, oh man, I had my pink slip ready and everything.
My mic arm doesn't move that way.
It doesn't, Pete. God damn you.
All right, the Running Man 2025 is our biggest disagreement of the year. All right, next up. Now, this is one that I will have more of a say on than you, and then the next one will be the opposite. So the next one is... Oh, I've actually skipped one. I'll just move them up since I've already started introducing it. The next one is the most David movie of the year.
Okay. So, a very enjoyable, beefy movie that everyone loves.
It's less about that, but more which one is more to your taste. Like what you know. Like,
okay.
You know, like,
all right. I've got. If I won't say them. I'll let you have the full control of like nominations here. But I've got two that immediately jump to mind.
Yeah, I mean the first one that jumped to my mind was obviously Megalopolis, because weird, up your own ass, a little bit perverted.
Yeah,
all those reasons. No.
I mean that was absolutely number one. So you're right.
I mean, obviously, you do like Back to the Future and time travel stuff. So Back to the Future Part 3 is maybe a quick thing that jumps out at me. If I'm looking down the list, I feel like if Frequency was good, it would be a David movie, but we didn't like it. So I mean, I suppose that doesn't necessarily disqualify it. I suppose it could be a movie that should be a David movie but isn't because it's bad. It would still count as the most David movie.
Yeah.
But
if you could make the argument for like why it should be up my alley, I would accept it.
Yeah. I mean, you like Companion. I don't know if that's necessarily full-on David movie necessarily.
I mean, if I can jump in, I would say I like Companion because it's one of the few times that I feel like black comedy really worked for me. It's one of the few times that I think that like having that tag and I really understood, okay, there's the black part, there's the comedy part. But I usually would not go for that sort of thing regardless.
Would I be out of line in saying that Moon is a very David movie?
It's up there. I would agree that it's definitely up there. I think there's one much more obvious choice for me, but it's definitely in the running.
Oh, go on then. Tell me, what's the obvious one that I've not
The obvious one for me is Eternal Sunshine.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I watched that movie multiple times beforehand. It is exactly the sort of like weird, sort of quirky setup, the editing and like the way that it goes through in a non-linear fashion, this guy's life. Like I really like all those aspects to it.
It's not really about which movie this year you like the most. It's more about which one's more typical of your tastes, I guess, or what your interests kind of thing. But I can see the reasoning for that. Yeah. Someone who was a bit of a hipster in 2004, that does sound like you.
I'm still wearing the flannel. It's still here.
All right, most David movie of the year is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So, alternatively, what is the most Peter movie of the year?
All right, let me see what we got here. So, I know you like your art house stuff. I know you like your little bit of like weirdness. It doesn't like things that aren't completely played straight there. That being said, Avatar 3, it would be an absolute parody of yourself at that point. You did really like Electric State. That is obviously a choice.
Yes.
The only thing that balances out here is Revenge of the Sith, which is obviously also up there.
All right, I did one joke choice for you. Get on with it.
All right, if I'm looking down the line here, Avatar 3 is actually a thing. Godzilla is such an easy choice though. Like we all know you love your Zilla. What else would I put on there? If I'm talking the art house stuff, I think Ikari might be like exactly that kind of thing that I would think you would love. I think that it's kind of right up in that sort of area of it. Not Surrogates, not Force Awakens. Scanners 2, nah, that doesn't quite work. Yeah, no. If I'm looking down it, it's all for different reasons. I think Godzilla being just the absolute behemoth that it is, I think that is something that would be in your realm. I think Avatar 3, because obviously you James Cameron, you love that, all of the special effects pushing forward in that. And then Ikari, I think, hits up the more art housey sort of weirdness, surrealist sort of aspect that I feel like you're into. So across those three, I would say that. Do you have any input on any of that, or if I'm way off?
I mean, I think Ikari is a surprising one, not because obviously I dislike it, because I was very much into it, but more just because I guess before I watched, I was curious about it, but it's kind of like when I think of like a movie on a spaceship from that time period, I'm expecting cheesiness, and that's not necessarily my first, love, right? I think, obviously, the James Cameron and Godzilla kind of reasons are solid there. I like a movie that's, I don't know if there's anything that sticks out in this year's list that feels, because I think if this was a year where we did something like a Coherence or something like that, it'd be like, okay, that's a very pure movie, because it's very much a movie with lots of rules and mechanics that are adhered to, and but they're making a lot out of nothing, and so on and so on. But I think Godzilla and Avatar 3 are the obvious.
All right. I mean, if I have to pick one between those two, I think it's going to have to be original Godzilla. Like, I think that one is far and away, as much as Avatar 3 is what it is, it's kind of just something that's become yours because it feels like so many people aren't into Avatar. Like, the fact that you are willing to rep that so hard. But Godzilla is absolutely something that you would adopt wholesale no matter what. To the point where we're doing, 6 of them over the course of the next year?
More than that, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were bi-monthly. Are they more than that now?
I may have changed to monthly again, if I'm honest. I'd have to go back and check. But you gotta get the interesting ones at some point,
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
Godzilla, most pure movie of the year. All right, next up. So I had this phrase for Scream, so I'll take out the word "or monster" because I don't think it applies as much here. I mean, they still kind of could apply, but best villain of the year.
That is a good one.
Yeah. Especially since not every sci-fi movie inherently has a villain. Some do, of course, but not everyone does necessarily. Yep. Like Gravity's not got a villain. Like there's no...
The Void.
The Void of Space. Okay, let's just... Varang, let's put her out there. Everyone's all chomping at the bit, right?
She's good. I'll go ahead. We've mentioned him a few times. He hasn't gotten any wins yet. Virtuosity.
Oh, Russell Crowe, yeah, in his purple suit, walking around down the street to Staying Alive with his sunglasses on. Oh, I mean, I don't think he's going to win, but he needs to get mentioned. Yeah. That has to be brought up.
He's nominated.
Yep. Looking down here, I would say, we're ignoring Revenge of the Sith, right? No one in that's getting a shout.
I'm just going to say it for the sake of half joking, but Gary Busey, Universal Soldier 2.
Well, I think we can call this this categories now Gary Busey Presents Villain of the Year.
Yeah.
He's the host of this one, yeah. Gotcha. Artifice Girl, Predators. No.
I mean, yes. If it's the most dangerous villain of them all, some would say. In fact, that they're real, but I don't think that's really kind of the bad guy of the movie is not the Predators themselves.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say that I think the villains in Running Man aren't very good or memorable, so I would discount those.
That's fair. If the original Running Man was here, you would have an argument. But
because he's very memorable. Yeah, the game show host. Predator Badlands. I mean, I like the villain. I don't know if I'd say they're sticking up to like some of the bigger choices.
Yeah, the fact that when you said Predator Badlands, I had to pause for a moment and try to remember who it was. Like,
that's fair.
I could say the company. Like, the company is always kind of an overstanding villain, but the specific one, yeah, not really.
Do you know what? There's probably enough evil companies we could have had a category which is worst sci-fi corporation. Of the year. And
absolutely,
we have OCP and RoboCop. We got Whalen Yutani in any of those like Alien or Predator movies.
Whatever the company is in Megalopolis.
That's funny. What else do we have here?
Nothing's really jumping in. The Batcav is a lot more kind of going against the planet or going against like a vague concept than a villain itself.
Yeah, it's not as consistent. And then like, who's the villain of like Begonia and Save the Green Planet? I feel that's like a bit of a debate to be had there about who the villain is in the traditional
tarantula sense. In Tarantula.
Yep. That's a you know what? I think Russell Crowe's got a chance. I'm not gonna.
I was gonna say.
It's starting to feel like he's got a fighting chance here. In all honesty, John Voight in Megalopolis.
He's a good guy at the end. That's not even like a villain at that point.
No, he isn't. Is he?
Yeah. Remember they say like he attacked Shia LaBeouf or whatever, and then he donated all of his money and became known as the Generous or whatever. John Voight the Generous.
I think that's a case of the movie's telling me something where the visuals have told me something very different.
The visuals tell you something that was not appropriate for YouTube. For John Voight.
I suppose you've got Biff Tannen from Back to the Future Part 3. Mad Dog Tannen, to be specific. I guess Biff's not his name, but like, I still think of him as Biff because it's actor. It's still Biff.
I can't even remember. Like, it was Mark Ruffalo in Mickey 17, but like, he wasn't that standout as a villain. Like, the Mickey 17 stuff was far more interesting than whatever Mark Ruffalo was like forcing upon it.
It says something that I barely remember him in that movie, but I remember his character in Poor Things from like a year before so much better. So take that for what you will. You know, I guess technically Godzilla's the villain in Godzilla, but I think that's maybe getting a slightly different lane with that though.
Yeah, who was playing the Steve Jobs guy in Electric State? Is that Stanley Tucci?
That sounds right. If it wasn't Stanley Tucci, it was someone like Stanley Tucci.
Okay. Doesn't stand a chance. Just thought.
No, not even close. You kidding me?
No, I honestly, Varang is great. She's fantastic as a villain. I think if we're talking about like most memorable, like best villain, it's got to be Russell Crowe. Like, he's so standout in the movie. He sells it.
When I wrote these categories down, I didn't think this one was going to be a fight between Varang from Avatar Fire and Ash and Russell Crowe's like AI villain from Virtuosity, but here we are.
Pulled up. Virtuosity 1995. What was his name? Sid 6.7.
Yeah, that sounds right. Although I kind of want to disqualify him for the 6-7 part of his name because that whole thing can die on fire.
Oh yeah, no, we can't play into memes for Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha, you bunch of waste of space. The lot of you.
No.
Get back in school.
Look, as much as I love Varang, I think that Varang is a great character. I think there's still a little bit more that needs to be done to her character to push her over that level.
To be fair, I think you could easily say that Quaritch is still up for this because Quaritch is a villain in that movie too, and he still arguably gets more time than she does. I think there's more with, obviously she's still around for the next one, so there's more to do with her. She might get her flowers come next time, but it was a hell of a start with her, to be fair.
Yes, absolutely.
But somehow Russell Crowe in Virtuosity since 6.7 has won.
Love the upset.
Villain of the year.
Good job.
I cannot see that. You threw that out. I was like, oh, that's great, but you'll never win. And then we look through the rest of the list. Oh, I guess he is winning. Fair enough. Yep. I'm not. Well, you think I'm picking Kylo Ren, or even worse than that, like young Anakin who's emo?
Yeah.
Like no.
You pick Palpatine in any of those movies.
Somehow
Episodes 1 through 9 of the Palpatine saga.
Somehow a Palpatine returned.
Oh God. I know it's on the schedule. I see it on the schedule. I still don't want to do the Rise of Skywalker. I'm so upset by that.
We got one or two to get to before that, though.
Yeah.
They build up to it. All right, that was Villain of the Year. Next up, we have Standout Character of the Year.
Ooh, Russell Crowe.
I think we disqualify villains for this just to keep things interesting here, because he could win, arguably. I'm looking to some of these movies. Is there anyone in Avatar that I would say sticks out? I think Neytiri has some good moments in there. I don't know if she's going to win, but you got Sandra Bullock in Gravity. Obviously, is kind of the main show of that. I think there's an argument for both Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone from Begonia, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty with those.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'm trying to look back to like the older stuff of the season, because the more recent stuff feels like it's so fresh in the mind. I'm trying to see if there's anybody in those earlier ones that really stood out and have still stuck around as the standout character.
It's Gary Busey's time to shine. That's what I think.
Yeah. Look, because you mentioned he was in Universal Soldier 2, I remember him. But if you told me to tell me anything about Universal Soldier 2, I wouldn't have anything.
Yeah.
I blanked it.
The only thing I really remember is him sneaking up behind a woman in the bathroom towards the end of the movie. Yeah.
I have nothing. Yep. I remember something about gold. I remember there was a whole thing about gold.
Right. So are we just saying that Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown don't have a chance from Electric State? Is that what we're saying?
I would rather give it to the peanut robot than either of them from Electric State.
That's fair. Oh, jeez.
Nobody from The Gorge. Nobody from Predator.
Definitely.
No.
Well, I mean, for Predator, like, I like the Predator, the Yacha. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to win Character of the Year, but
specifically, I was looking at Killer of Killers. But yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, for Predator Badlands, he does a solid job, but I think in that review I actually gave it to
Elle Fanning's character.
Yeah, the Fanning. Yeah,
the Fanning. Can never remember which one it is. There's one of the Fannings.
I haven't made the transition out of Dakota being my default, despite the fact that it's been Elle Fanning for like years now.
Yeah. So what do we have here? Christopher Walken's in Brainstorm, but I don't think, as far as Christopher Walken roles goes, it sticks out as being like a attention grabbing in quite the same way as it could be otherwise.
Well, I'm blanking on his name, but the only guy from Moon, he basically held that whole movie on his shoulders. He did a great job there.
Sam Bell,
that's right.
played by Sam Worthington. Sam Rockwell. That's the word I'm looking for.
Rockwell. Yep.
Yeah. That's no one's like jumping out at me like with like the sort of like, oh, it's definitely them, it's this their year. And
honestly, the only one that's really standing out is Godzilla. Like that's the big far and away, like, there he is, that's Godzilla.
That's not a character though. I can't give it to Godzilla.
I mean, yeah.
Well, okay, to be fair, right, I don't think we should pick either of these, but technically Marty and Doc are both eligible because of Back to the Future Part 3. And if Back to the Future Part 1 was this year, like, it would be one of them, because they're two of the best characters ever. But I feel weird giving it to them for just the third one.
Yeah. I think my standout, I don't even know if we were doing standouts at that point, but I think my standout for Part 3 would have been Doc. I think it was Doc Brown for that one. Yeah,
no, that's fair. Yeah, I think it was like Marty for the first one. Second one might have been Biff. Maybe he had a lot going on there.
Yeah, that was definitely Biff's movie, because that's where he did all the stuff, and then it was Doc in the third one.
Because there was like 3 different versions of Biff and Griff in the second movie. Oh jeez, yeah. This is actually quite a tough category. There's not a lot that are sticking out to me, because no one in Jurassic World Rebirth is going to win this. No one in the island is going to win this. No one in Ash. No one in Barbarella. No one in the RoboCop remake. I don't think Artifice Girl is going to take this.
I mean, I can remember the characters there, but that's only just because it's a very limited cast.
Yeah, not feeling that. dear. This is the sort of category where you'd think a Star Wars might put up a fight because they tend to have very colorful, memorable characters. But I don't know. Like, I mean, is there anyone in The Force Awakens that you think, oh yeah, that's deserving of the victory here?
Look, if anyone in Star Wars were to have gotten it, I think that Emma Stone and Begonia is leaps and bounds ahead of both of them. And Jesse Plemons is good as well, but like just specifically her as well. I think that she fully 100% takes that.
Yeah, Begonia might be taking this for one of those characters. Yeah, like I say, like I probably like Neytiri more than anything in Force Awakens as well, but I don't know if she's going to face off against the Begonia characters, who are very, very well developed and entertaining throughout.
I stand by. I think that once we get all 5 Avatar movies, or however many we're doing, I think that Quaritch, if done right, could be one of the best like character arcs over the course of the whole thing. I think he might be a fantastically done one. But for Avatar 3 specifically, I don't think he's quite pulling it out of just that one. Yeah,
no, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find some more examples that I think are worth championing, but I'm not, like, you know, like I like Rhea Seehorn's character in Linoleum, but it's not going to be up to these other in terms of like the character. So
right, Begonia.
I think it's Begonia. I can see a debate for which character though, because I think they're both very well developed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't even remember who I said. Like, I know that it was definitely between Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone, but they both did such a fantastic job there. I think after the fact, the one I have more in my mind is Emma Stone, but that's also just because she's much more visually striking by the end than he is.
Yeah, I think I remember him like sticking out because all of his scenes where he's explaining to his cousin like all the conspiracies and all that, he does such a good job of sounding like a maniac who's very like very set in his ways of what he believes. So I think if I was to really have to pick, I think I would lean more towards Plemons out of the two, but I'm not feeling like so strong on it that you couldn't convince me the other way.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm honest to God in kind of the same space there. I think that I do lean more towards Emma Stone, but like I said, I think that's more because she's more visually striking. She's the one on the poster. She's the one, like, I remember more things happening to her. But when I sit down and really think about it, Plemons did have the much more defined, like, his, again, can't spoil much, but his whole backstory that slowly gets drip fed over time makes him a much more fleshed out character. So I'm willing to go Plemons. I'm good with that.
All right. Jesse Plemons' character in Begonia wins character or standout character of the year, presented, of course, by Gary Busey once again.
Yes, of course.
So, all right, next up is a very specific sci-fi one. Best vision of the future. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean good vision of the future. I'm not saying it's like a positive future, but just the best interpretation of either a dystopia, a cyberpunk, a post-apocalypse even, just some version of the future and the most compelling of those developed. Or maybe best looking, if you want to think of it that way, I don't know. But just most fleshed out. So, fair enough.
So all the Star Wars are already out because that was a long time ago
That's
in
true.
a galaxy far, far away.
Technically, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. I mean, looking down the list here, what's technically eligible? I guess technically Solaris is eligible. I don't think it's going to have a chance, but
no, it doesn't really do anything.
No, that's not going to happen. I think Megalopolis technically is eligible.
I'm just trying to go through the list here and just pick up the ones that are technically set in the future.
Electric State, of course, Mickey 17
that's right.
are both set in the future. I guess Frequency was as well. Or not Frequency, sorry, Virtuosity. I meant Virtuosity. I was just, my brain just skipped to the other one. So there's that. I think you would also put into this, would you argue Companion? I mean, now Companion's one of those ones where it's like, no, it's just present day with one thing's been like added to the world. So I wouldn't really say that's a representation.
Same as Eternal Sunshine. It's that we just have a little bit of extra tech going on.
Yeah, for sure. So looking down, the island's definitely the future. I'm noticing though that most of the ones I've said so far are bad movies, so hopefully we get a good one at some point.
Whoops. I mean, if we're skipping to the very end real quick, Avatar, set in the future.
That is definitely the future, yeah.
Yep.
Although, bizarrely though, because it's very much set on a different planet where Earth is only hinted at, I wouldn't say it focuses on what its vision of the future is necessarily quite in the same way.
No, you're right. You're right. It's the sort of thing where, you know, it's the same thing that if Star Wars were technically a future, it's you have to imagine yourself on this other world. You have to imagine yourself if you were in the place of these settlers or Jake Sully or whatever.
Yeah, and then looking at some of the other stuff here, we didn't do a whole lot of like, I mean, other than the ones that are bad, like Surrogates would count for this, but obviously that is absolute trash.
Yeah, that's one of the things though where like I could see Surrogates, ignoring the actual movie itself. Surrogates as a concept is absolutely something I could see us getting into. That would absolutely be a path humanity could take. I don't like it, but like in terms of being a vision of the future, it is possible.
The weird thing is, all the ones we've said so far, absolutely the one I liked the most was Virtuosity, but obviously it's a very kind of cheesy, silly take on what the future is going to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think we did any like serious ones. You know, we didn't do any post-apocalyptic movies this year, I don't think.
No. I mean, if we're talking dystopian, RoboCop and Running Man are both kind of in that dystopian realm.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing, though, is if you gave me the original RoboCop or the original Running Man, I think I'd be arguing for maybe one of those. But not so much in this case.
So I guess let me ask for a bit of clarification on this category. When you say best, do you mean like most fleshed out, most like realistic, or do you mean like the thing that I want to be in?
Not the thing I want to be in. It's definitely not that. Okay. I guess it's a combination of the others. Basically, for any reason, we want to argue this is the standout vision of the future. Maybe that's the better phrasing to make it a bit more broad.
Okay. All right. I do like Moon as a future concept. I like this idea that, you know, it's kind of the same as in Mickey 17, but I think a bit more, I'm going to make a pun here, down to earth, where it's this idea of it being just this one guy and we just keep on doing this to him, as opposed to Mickey 17, where it's this whole going to another planet and like trying to colonize it sort of thing. I think Moon is decent. I
guess my thing is, though, is that once again, that's set in space. Now, I realize it's just the moon. It's like just right there. It's not like Avatar where we're off in some other galaxy in Pandora or whatever that is. But when I'm thinking vision of the future, though, I'm thinking Earth. I'm thinking like, you know, that side of it, right? So as much as Ikari or Moon or Avatar technically are the future, it's not really fitting what I think the spirit of this is. No,
yeah, you're right. In which case, then we are left with like kind of a lot of shit, if we're being honest. We're left with like Megalopolis and the island.
So Virtuosity then, right?
Yeah, I mean, Virtuosity, yeah.
Virtuosity.
How far in the future was that set? That's my question.
I bet it was like 2022 or something like that. It was probably something that...
No. It was the far-off year of 1999.
Really?
Yeah. They only went 4 years ahead. They expected computers to move real fast.
Oh, they were very ambitious.
Yeah.
Very, very ambitious, but...
Yep. Although, to be fair, that was part of... I remember now, that was part of what we were talking so much about it, was that they were using terms like learning computers and neural networks and stuff like that. And it felt way ahead of its time.
There was a few things they mentioned that felt like, oh, that's something we talk about now. Because I remember a couple of them like, yeah, that wouldn't have been a common phrase at the time, but now it is. It's kind of weird that they, like, obviously a lot of it's wildly off, but there's a few weird specific things that they nailed really accurately. Yeah. So I guess at some points, not that that's really what the category is, but I can't help but appreciate it.
Yeah, it's hard not to point out and say, like, this one made back literally 30 years ago still stands up as possibly a valid path forward.
Whereas the islands got like a Google search terminal in the street.
That's right. No, but it wasn't Google. It was like something that's already bankrupt.
MSN. It was MSN.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Go. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Virtuosity. I mean, admittedly, it was not exactly a tough category for it to fight off the contenders, but best vision of the future.
Uh-huh.
All right, there we go. Next up, best atmosphere.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
So
I'll bring back up, you mentioned it before for visuals. I think that gives it enough speech here for Midnight Special. I think that one.
Yeah.
Had a really good atmosphere to it. I really appreciated that one.
Yeah, a lot of atmosphere in that. I think Godzilla's another obvious one here. Like especially all the Godzilla attack scenes, where it's, the haunting imagery really gives it a sense of awe, right? And that is absolutely atmosphere.
Yep.
So I think that's a fair one.
Save the Green Planet. I think that one, as zany as it is, it knows exactly the tone it's going for, and it builds that up perfectly over the course of the movie.
Here's one that we've not mentioned yet at all, and I don't think it's going to win this, but I think the closest thing that it has that made me think there was more potential was the atmosphere, and that was Things Will Be Different.
Yeah. I guess it kind of fits in that same Midnight Special tone.
Yeah.
It feels very similar to that.
Yeah, Midnight Special obviously, is a better movie pretty much in every way, but it's definitely sort of touching on the same kind of thing tone-wise. As for other atmosphere, I think The Gorge is supposed to be atmospheric.
It's tried.
But
I'd argue the first half nearly gets there, and then it just throws it away.
I think the lack of atmosphere was one of my big critiques of that movie. Is that it just was just missing the entire time. So that's gone. I can tell you that Ash really wanted to be atmospheric. Like, it was kind of banking on the fact that it was going to be rich in atmosphere, and I think it was a bit hollow in the end, but I think it's worth mentioning that it was going for that.
Oh yeah, it tried. God bless it, it tried. It's literally the polar opposite of, on the other sides of it, The Island and RoboCop 2014, which didn't try at all.
For sure. And then, you could... I think Europa Report's kind of scratching the surface of a good atmosphere. It just never quite gets there.
Yeah, I'd argue that. Same thing with Gravity. I think Gravity has even better atmosphere, but it is, again, still this issue where it's more spectacle than atmosphere. It's more so of trying to do these bigger things, and it succeeds, to be fair, but it doesn't feel like it really has this kind of settling you in sort of feel to it. It's all just about the tension.
It's all adrenaline, so you're moving too fast to really stop and feel the atmosphere, but it's going for different things, so it's not a detriment to the movie. But
plus there is also literally no atmosphere in Gravity, so
yeah, I suppose that's true. So what are we looking at here for okay, I don't think it's going to win, but I do think Predator Badlands does have some atmosphere, because they present you such a sort of hostile world that he's traveling through. There's some there. It's maybe a little bit too blockbustery to completely have it, but there is a little bit of it in there.
Yeah, I'll also throw out, I think there was atmosphere in, I can't remember if it was the first or the second of the shorts from Predator Killer of Killers. I think it was the second one. I think it was the Japanese one that it felt very atmospheric of the time. It felt like it was definitely setting something up specific there. Not enough to hold the whole movie by far, but it was good for the short.
Sure. I think that's fair. I actually, you know what? This is one we've not mentioned too much yet either. I will say there's some decent atmosphere in Caddo Lake. There's a nice air of mystery, and the missing girl element of it. Again, there's a TV show that I think nails it even better than the movie does, but it is solid.
No, I guess it's sort of the thing of how much am I drawn into the setting of it. And Caddo Lake does a good job of kind of giving me that feeling of a broken home and this down south sort of, I don't want to say falling apart America, because if we're talking about that atmosphere-wise, Begonia nails it.
Oh, Begonia does have atmosphere for sure.
That dead city of America that he keeps on biking through, I felt that so hard.
Or even the opposite, where she's in the her work and how sterile and very grid-like everything is. It feels very corporate and just unhuman in a way that's again very atmospheric. So
yeah.
There's arguments to be made there. So, I mean, what are the real contenders here then? We're talking about then maybe a little bit of Moon. Certainly Godzilla. Certainly
Begonia.
I
mean, as much as I like Midnight Special and Caddo Lake and all that stuff, I don't know if it quite gets up to the same level of atmosphere as something like Begonia or Godzilla and such. Yeah,
I mean, I think there is definitely some, because sometimes a smaller movie can have a better atmosphere because it is smaller. Yes. I don't know if those quite maybe. I feel like I'm leaning towards this being a fight between Begonia, and Godzilla. And maybe Save the Green Planet as well, actually, just to make it more complicated, because now we're comparing the two similar movies stuff. Again. But I do think the atmosphere in those two films is different, which is impressive, actually, that they don't feel the same. So that's a credit to making Begonia different. Now, which atmosphere do I like more of the two is a very interesting question. Actually, I
mean, if we're picking between the two, not to completely discount Godzilla yet, but if we're picking between the two, I do have to give it a bit more to Begonia. I think that having that, like, I don't know, maybe it did the same thing for the equivalent of the original, where it made you feel like a very specific part of, it was Japan, right?
No, Korea.
It was Korea. Okay, just want to be sure. Maybe it was specific areas of like South Korea and whatnot, but when we had a scene very early on in Begonia where he's talking to his cousin in this parking lot, and there's just all these closed up stores and like it's an entire strip mall that's essentially empty. I felt that so hard. And like it immediately put me of exactly where these guys are in terms of their area. And it just kept going with it the whole way through. So yeah, I have to give it to that.
I think, I think cinematography and atmosphere is what I'd lean towards Begonia over Save the Green Planet. Although I think Save the Green Planet has other things that it does better than Begonia does.
Yeah.
But if I'm comparing Begonia... Oh, actually, let's not discount Ikari XB1. I don't think it's going to win, but I do want to mention it, because that sequence, especially when they're searching the other ship, is chef's kiss as far as atmosphere goes.
Yeah.
So, full credit to that. But oh god, it's tough to like Godzilla though. I mean, like Godzilla, it's Godzilla.
Yeah.
The eerie haunting city of the it's on fire, and this giant lizard monster's walking around in front of it, and everyone's looking up in awe, and it's all an allegory for the atom bomb going off, which really happened, obviously. So there's this weight to it. I don't know. Like I don't know if.
Yeah, I mean, it's another one of those things, though, of like comparing it to Gravity. How much of that is also just like, the tension and the enjoyment of the action scenes comparatively to like actual honest to God atmosphere?
Well, if you say that, though, I'd say, well, how do you exclude, like, what is the correct thing to judge on for what gives something atmosphere? Surely any of those things are equally, like...
I mean, yes, but I also think that atmosphere is so much more defined by the down moments. It's so much more defined by, like, even just the establishing shots, even the beginning of scenes and stuff like that. That stuff led so much more credence to atmosphere than just so much as, like, the big moments themselves.
Okay. No, it's compelling. It's compelling. Okay, I'll give you Begonia.
All right. Cool.
I'm convinced we can do best atmospheres Begonia. Next up, most forgettable movie. Not necessarily the worst, just the one that we're likely to not remember.
Or so maybe... what have we literally not mentioned at all in this episode?
Okay,
yet?
The ones we've barely mentioned are Things Will Be Different. All right. We've barely mentioned Come True.
I don't think we mentioned Come True at all.
We haven't really mentioned... I mean, we did mention Ash a bit early on because of title, but I do think it falls into this category quite happily.
Yep. Linoleum.
Linoleum. I definitely like Linoleum more than those other ones we just mentioned, though, so I think I'd discount that.
It's just not stand out in any particular way, but it is still fine.
Yeah. So I think the ones they mentioned, I mean, in the Solaris remake, I could argue, but it's kind of just because it's tied to a better movie, it'll be remembered because of that, but not because of any of its own qualities.
Yeah.
So I think
I'll make the argument that there are, while the entirety of Come True is not anything particularly great, the ending of it still sticks in my mind. I still think of how much that ending just kind of like flubbed it for me.
But I thought you were going to make the point that there's some good moments in the middle of that movie, because I think there is good moments in the middle of that movie, but the ending is complete trash. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Memorable wise, that ending is like so trash that it stays in my mind.
Well, in that case, then we're kind of looking at Ash versus Things Will Be Different. Then
I'll be honest. I have open our spreadsheet here. I also have open things with the thumbnails. I had to look up Things Will Be Different. I did not remember that movie at all. Once I looked at the thumbnail, I'm like, oh, right, it's that kind of time travel movie. But, like, I still completely lost it.
Now, I would like to put an asterisk there and say it was the third episode of the year. So there's also a time factor here where maybe it's not necessarily less memorable than a couple of these other ones, but it has been longer than those ones, so maybe it's hit you that way.
Very true.
But I do think there's an argument. I think that and Ash are the two that I'm going to completely forget in every way possible.
Yeah,
so
I'd argue. I would also kind of put out there Artifice Girl. I don't think it is going to be something I completely forget. I think it's going to stick around in the same way for me as Come True, where there's just like one or two very memorable shots of the movie that I'm going to remember, and it's going to stick around to me.
I think I like that movie more than you did, and I think it is a better movie than Come True, so I would, fight you on that. I mean, not that you're suggesting it should win, but I do think that, Surrogates is a worse movie, but I hated it so much that it's not going to be forgettable in the same way.
I will put out, this is kind of a cheeky way of doing it. I could not tell you the difference between the plot points of Universal Soldier 2 and 3. If you told me to split that movie up, I cannot physically do that.
Do you know what the funny thing is that it almost just kind of gets disqualified because they're sequels to another movie that is memorable. So it just by association, the same way that Solaris being a remake, just by association, isn't as forgettable as some of these other one-offs that completely whiffed and failed to land. So, I mean, I'm happy with saying Things Will Be Different is forgettable. It's not necessarily the worst movie by any stretch that we reviewed, but I think it is the most forgettable.
I agree.
All right, that's the most forgettable movie. Things Will Be Different. Next up, the biggest disappointment of the year.
Ooh. God. I go in with such low expectations anyway, because I know the kind of things you put me through. It's hard to be disappointed.
Well, I think, on Screams, I also had a category which was the most wasted potential, but I took that off here because I feel like they're too similar, right? Because I think wasted potential and disappointment can kind of, like, don't get me wrong, like, technically there's a difference because wasted potential could be something you weren't expecting to be good, but you can see the seeds of greatness in there that just aren't being capitalized on. Right. But I think they're similar enough that I think I'll combine them, especially since this is going longer than the Screams one. So let's go for it.
We got a lot to say.
Okay, biggest disappointment, I think. I'm trying to look if there was anything that I was like excited about that did actually. Are you thinking Mickey 17? Because I
would say Mickey 17. Yeah,
it wasn't as good as it could have been.
Electric State, I was going into with zero expectations. So, like, as much as it sucked, I wasn't disappointed. Mickey 17 was one that I really like the director. I think Robert Pattinson has made his mark as like a very competent actor who's able to handle these sort of weird concepts. And it just didn't work. It just really didn't land. I
mean, he's born on a good day, so he clearly has to have some cred.
I'm assuming you share a birthday with
I do. It's the same birthday as me. It might even be the same age. We might literally be born the same day.
I got matchups with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lawrence. That's my shared.
Yeah. There you go. I'd be more proud of one of those over the other.
Yeah.
Mickey 17. The only asterisk on Mickey 17 would be that because I have this weird history with that director, where some of his movies are phenomenal. Parasite is an all-timer. It's like a modern classic. But all of his sci-fi movies have left me really lukewarm to cold. So I had this kind of weird expectation of probably feeling that with Mickey 17. So I wasn't as surprised. I still hoped that I'd like it more, but I wasn't necessarily as surprised with Mickey 17.
That's fair. I was, I guess, a lot more into Snowpiercer than you were. I really did enjoy that movie. So I was a bit more disappointed overall.
Now, I know you were expecting Borderlands to be a complete smash hit, but
yes,
I'm sorry to say.
Look, I was very straightforward with the very first trailer I ever saw of Borderlands. Immediately put a sour taste in my mouth. Just every line that was being read, I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna suck so hard."
Do you want a much shittier version of Guardians of the Galaxy? Here's Borderlands.
Yep. This feels like someone who just They were like, "What do you mean Guardians came out almost 10 years ago? Why didn't we put this out back then?"
It was exactly 10 years ago when it came out because it went in 2024. It's exactly 10 years.
Was it 2020? I thought it was a 2015 movie. Never mind.
Guardians was 2014. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so disappointment. I mean, I guess I don't know how excited I was for Companion, but I definitely was a little bit. I was hoping for better, right? I was a little bit let down. but maybe not enough to like argue with Mickey 17 per se.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously like that one more, and I think I went in with lower expectations. So yeah,
that's fair. And then looking down the list, like, was I excited for Running Man? I don't think I was. I was going in pretty neutral, so I can't really say that was a disappointment per se. Yeah,
I'll kind of throw out Scanners too. I think going in with the expectations that Scanners 1 has, I was a little bit let down with how non-insane Scanners 2 was.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really remember it very well, but I'd seen it a long time ago, so I already kind of knew that it wasn't going to be that good. So I can't comment on that. But I think Mickey 17 probably is the winner here. I think it's the only thing that sticks out as being, like, potentially before it came out, is having a reason to be excited because of the director. It's the movie he did after Parasite, and then it was just kind of weird and quirky, but not in a way that really clicked with me. And I wasn't really into where the story went. So,
yeah.
All right, there you go. Most disappointing movie of the year is Mickey 17. And again, not the worst movie of the year, just disappointing based on the expectations going in. All right, next up, the flip side, the biggest pleasant surprise of the year.
This one's actually a lot easier for me because this, like I said, I go in with such low expectations.
Go on.
I'm immediately gonna give my number one. Maybe you can convince me there's something else above it, but it's Save the Green Planet. I went in, like I said, expecting Al Gore to sit down and talk to me about my carbon footprint. And instead I got this quirky, weird, irreverent Korean film that just was so much better than I thought it had any reason to be.
Well, here's the thing, though. I already knew that movie was great, so I can't even...
Well, I can't help that, Pete.
I know. I can't say that's a pleasant surprise. I mean, it was maybe a pleasant surprise when I watched it in 2004, but it's been a long ass time. Let me see. I think Ikari XB1 is the one that's sticking out to me as the pleasant surprise. I don't think we expected that to be what it was, to be as forward thinking and as good as it was. Like that was, to me, that was the surprise of the year. So I would put forth that up front, I think. I mean, I'm looking here to see if anything else sticks out at me. I mean, I guess in a way, Virtuosity. I mean, not as a genuinely great movie, but like I had a good time with that movie. So I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, I did, and yet I feel like it met everything I expected it to be in regards to like
how
it treated the special effects and all that. I don't feel like it really shot above that at all.
But that's partly why it's a surprise, because even in spite of all that, it managed to be glorious.
True.
Hence the surprise.
I mean, if we honestly can't come to a Save the Green Planet, I will agree with Ikari. I do think that was one that I went into expecting, like, I'm about to either watch the cheesiest 1960s, like Russian-made sort of sci-fi movie here, or I'm going to watch something with like some depth. And it came out to a lot of depth and a lot of actually like good effects to it. So I'll give it to that.
Yeah. Czech film, by the way, not Russian. Just
right. Sorry. It was all Soviet at the time. Doesn't matter.
Was Czech under Soviet rule?
I believe so. Maybe not 1960 something, but in general.
You're probably right. I just wasn't sure. I can't keep track of which countries the Russians were hogging for all that time.
There was not a spreadsheet, a flow chart of someone made of like how to tell when the map you were looking at was printed, and there's like 800 different branches, and it only goes back to like the 1900s, and it's like all these different like small country changes and border changes and stuff like that. It's insane to me.
Well, I just mentioned Czech. I mean, technically it's Czechia right now. It was once the Czech Republic. It's been Czechoslovakia when it was combined with Slovakia. I can't keep track of them changing their goddamn name. It's all over the place.
By the time this goes live tomorrow, as of recording, I'm sure they'll change it again.
It'll be the Czech Republic 2.0, the final reckoning, or something.
It'll be Checky Cheese.
That was deeply offensive. I don't condone what David just said.
I didn't realize that was the offensive one. My bad.
All right, next up, because that was Ikari XB1 for a pleasant surprise, just in case that was unclear. Next up, best sequel, reboot, or remake of the year.
Okay.
So best non-original movie, to put it another way.
Yeah. All right. So looking at the top here, Back to the Future 3.
That's obviously in contention. I think Begonia is obviously another obvious one that sticks out. Avatar, Fire and Ash, I think, also is in that discussion.
Mhm.
And then, is there anything else that you would put forward?
Jurassic World definitely doesn't get it. As much as we kind of enjoyed it, Predator Badlands, I think, is not up on that same tier comparatively to everything else.
I mean, I did really enjoy Predator Badlands, but I would... Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to win. But it's definitely worth the mention, though. It's a good sequel. It's a good new step in the franchise.
Yep. Beyond that, you're specifically talking to other movies, so like an adaptation like Borderlands wouldn't count, correct?
No. Yeah, that's not that I had a chance anyway.
No, not at all. I guess for the sake of the fandom boys, just so it doesn't sound like we're counting it out, the Star Warses, Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens.
Hell no and no.
Okay, fair enough.
In that order. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the first few that we mentioned. I mean, Back to the Future Part 3 is, I think, the weakest of the three, but it's also because I always go in with that mindset. I'm almost surprised every time that it's still as good as it is. But I'm like, this is still really good. Like, yeah, it's the weakest of the three, but damn, it's still really tight and really well done.
Yeah. I gave that a 9. I love that movie.
And then Avatar: Fire and Ash was great, and obviously, Begonia is a remake is exceptionally good. That said, though, the one thing I'll maybe say about that is that Begonia, the one big thing we said is that by the end of the movie we were both hoping it took a different direction to be more different by the end, and that's the one thing where maybe it kind of, one of the big reasons why I think Save the Green Planet's the better movie overall of the two, despite some of the things that Begonia does better, is that. So based on ratings, as boring as that is to like just go to the numbers, right, I think Back to the Future Part 3 does edge out. I think, Avatar: Fire and Ash and Begonia were both kind of in that 8 to 8.5 kind of ranges, and then I think Back to the Future Part 3 just kind of tips above.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm looking at it, I'm definitely dropping Begonia just because, like you said, if from the viewpoint of what it was adapting from, the original source material was so much stronger. And I would say that's true against all three of these. I would say that Begonia has that. Avatar 3, while very good, while very solid, I think I still preferred Way of Water just a little bit more.
I would agree with that.
I think that one was just a little bit better. And then same sort of thing to Back to the Future 3 is like, Back to the Future 2 is one of my all-time favorites. I love that. And then not even to comment on Back to the Future 1. So...
Yeah, so what we're saying for Back to the Future and Avatar is that neither one is the best sequel in their franchise.
Right. Yeah. But it's basically a comparison of between the two of them, which one is the better within it. I think I would still say Back to the Future, yeah.
I think I inch towards Back to the Future. I think it's a more... I don't think there's one obvious big thing to complain about with Avatar: Fire and Ash, which is the repetitive third act compared to 2. I don't think Back to the Future Part 3 has a big problem like that.
No, the third act is entirely unique and it works so well.
Yeah. Well, I even mean comparing the third. I just mean in general, does it have a big problem of any kind that you would compare to that? And I don't think it does. So yeah, best sequel, reboot, or remake we'll give to Back to the Future Part 3. So congratulations.
Just like 30-something years after the fact, whatever.
Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't going to be the RoboCop remake. Are you mad?
Now RoboCop 3 with your 4 out of 10.
Hey, I'll take RoboCop 3 over the remake any day of the week. Don't you?
That's true.
Don't you question it? All right, this one's a bit weirder, right?
Okay.
We did this in streams as well. But which sci-fi subgenre would you feel we had the best year with on Ace? So did we do a good number of good time travel movies, space movies, future dystopian, or I mean, we already kind of established we didn't do a lot of future movies, so probably not that.
Right. I'll knock one out immediately that I think we had a particularly poor year in. Robots. Like AI, robots, stuff like that. I think that pretty much all the ones we watched.
Companion was such a disappointment. I agree.
Yeah, no, I will admit, comparatively, like I would have wanted a lot more from it. But like Electric State definitely was bringing that down. Both the RoboCops that we did were not fantastic with that. So I think robots were a particularly bad year for us.
Yeah. I mean, Virtuosity kind of counts, and I did have fun with that, but I don't know if that's enough to get it over, some of these other things. Right. I mean, time travel wise, what do we have? We have Back to the Future 3,
Things will be different.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, it's kind of on the fringe of it, but it's there. I would say
Frequency was okay.
No, it was not okay. By the end, we were shitting on all of that. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's for like the sake of being a time travel movie.
I guess
in the time travel genre, it's okay. I'm not saying it's great.
I feel like, I mean, monster movie wise, it's only Godzilla and Tarantula, I think, but that's a pretty decent pair.
You could kind of count Jurassic World in that.
Oh, I would. No, you're right.
Bit.
No, that definitely counts. You're right. Dinosaurs absolutely count.
I think Animal Kingdom's where you draw the line. Like, that's no longer monster. That's mad science.
No, that's something else entirely.
Yeah.
I think space is the one that's sticking out to me between Avatar, Gravity, Ikari XB1. There's probably another couple here that I'm not even jumping to yet, but like I feel there's a good number of good space movies and then some weaker ones. And then you've also got the Star Warsies. You've got Moon.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention that one yet.
I mean, I would argue that Ash is a space movie, and that one was like very bad, all things considered. But if that's the one downside.
I think the goods outweigh the bad. I mean, Borderlands is also technically a space movie, but I think the good tier, like, I don't think there's any other subgenre here that has as many good entries as that does.
Yeah.
You know, I guess Predator Badlands kind of counts. Or you can also count that under Aliens, which, in terms of Aliens, where the aliens are the focus, I mean, what do you have? You've got Begonia and Save the Green Planet, to an extent. You've got...
Predators.
The Predator movies, yep. You've got...
Evolution.
Oh yeah, Evolution, I guess. So
that's kind of it. Yeah, I think that's all there is.
Technically Midnight Special, depending on how you want to count Alien.
Yeah, I guess. It's that weird differentiation. I mean, without spoiling it, I can't say, but yeah, it's a weird differentiation there.
Yeah, I think space is taken. I think space movies is the most defining subgenre on Ace of the Year.
I mean, it definitely has, I think, the most positives between Gravity and Ikari, but even without as many negatives, you also have just the neutrals. You have like the Star Wars Force Awakens, and then like leading into the negatives when we get to Revenge of the Sith and stuff like that.
For sure. All right, I think space takes it, and even Barbarella. I guess you could throw it in space as well.
I don't know where to put Barbarella.
She is in space. She's traveling about the solar systems and whatnot. Good job. All right, congratulations to space for being the most prolific.
Congratulations to space. There's a lot of you. Good job.
All right, next up. Okay, serious business. What is the best non-2025 movie that we did this year?
Okay.
I mean, it's Godzilla, but if you want to debate anything else, you can go for it.
I'm gonna change our spreadsheet to Nacho 2025 movies so I can just narrow it down. Godzilla, Save the Green Planet is always up for contention.
That's definitely in the top 5. Don't get me wrong.
Also, Back to the Future Part 3. As much as I love the other ones more, it is still a fantastic movie.
Oh yeah, I mean, Gravity, Eternal Sunshine, those stick out. Moon, those stick out to me, for sure. But it's Godzilla.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and then it's Godzilla. Yeah. Is there anything I could even point to otherwise? I'm not really finding. Yeah, it's kind of got to be Godzilla. Nah. It's one of the things where, like, you know, if we 5 years down the road or whatever, you feel the need to redo Terminator, like, yes, clearly that's going to win
for sure. Yeah,
whatever it's going to be.
Hey, the day may come where we redo a couple of the biggies from the early days, because we've done it on streams. Now, admittedly, I don't think the early days need to be redone the way streams does, but still,
right?
You know, with experience and camaraderie building up, you know, things are a lot more smoother and better now than they were in the early days.
We're building up camaraderie.
There's camaraderie.
Okay, you say so.
If I tell you there's camaraderie, you will do what I tell you.
Yes, sir. Sorry. Jeez. Oh God.
All right, so Godzilla's the best non-2025 movie.
Good on it.
Yeah, I mean, it was an easy one, to be fair, but like, you know, sometimes it might not be as easy. And then are you just assuming we're doing best 2025 movie next?
I may not have changed the spreadsheet setting or not.
No, you're right. So this is something we didn't do on streams, because streams always gets like a full top 10 that we do in a couple of months once we've done some catching up of any 2025 movies missed. But because you don't get as many sci-fi movies every year, we don't do that on Ace. We don't do a top 10 every year, or even a top 5, because even though you're filtered here and there's about 10 or so, maybe a dozen, obviously some of them suck. So we can't really do a top 5 with most of them suck. That said, though, we can pick a movie of the year, a movie of 2025 out of the ones we've done. So I think the obvious contenders, looking at the list here, Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Yes.
Predator: Badlands. Begonia.
Begonia's absolutely there.
And I'd say that's it. I'd say that's the contenders.
Yeah, the first half of the year was not kind. Obviously there's a big gap somewhere in the beginning of the year. Then we get a bunch of summer releases and then a bunch of like deep winter releases, and that's about all we get. And
don't get me wrong, there's definitely more to catch up on at some point. I will say there's like sci-fi movies from the last like 3 or 4 years from different countries that just don't have a release in the UK or the US. Okay. So we're still waiting on them being available, and some of them might be absolute gems. It's hard, we don't know until we see them. But based on what's available, I think it's between those 3, and I think there's an argument between them, depending on what we want to reward.
Yeah, if we have those 3, which I agree are kind of the top 3, I think I'm putting Predator: Badlands 3rd. I think that one, it's a solid action flick. It's a solid entry into the Predator franchise, but I do think comparatively between the other 2, it kind of had the least to say. It kind of had the least to do as well. It just kind of felt like the reestablishing of here's how we want to move Predator forward post Prey. Here's like a way we're going to be doing this, and it's good. It just doesn't feel anything super stand out in terms of like cinema either.
I think it felt fresh for the franchise. It felt like a fresh new direction, but I agree it's probably 3rd. I think it's kind of tough between the other 2 in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because I think Avatar is fantastic, but does have a couple of notable big flaws that hold it back a little bit from being as special as the previous one. And I think Begonia, again, I think the filmmaking arguably is a lot more art house and a lot more consistent and special in that regard, but also has a couple of big things. It's like, hey, these things should have been changed from Save the Green Planet, or these things should have been done a little bit differently. So they both kind of have like their negatives as well, which makes it a very kind of fair fight between them. And I think if I'm going to pick one, I think I would edge it slightly to Avatar. Mainly just because I think the things that hold Begonia back a little bit are things that where it kind of was like, okay, this feels like it might be like really special, and in the end it was still great for all the reasons what made it good, but ultimately it was still kind of like, yeah, but Save the Green Planet's right there. Avatar, obviously, yeah, you can say there's some stuff that feels the same as the last one, but there's a lot of ways where it takes the franchise forward, so I think inherently it just feels a little bit more exciting. Like, I'm excited to see more of the journeys of those characters next time, and it left me off feeling really positive about that. So I think I lean towards Avatar, and also the spectacle doesn't hurt, of course.
Right. Yeah, that's the other. It honestly is, may as well be comparing apples and oranges at this point. It is two such wildly different movies that what it really comes down to is kind of taste and how you feel about it. And I think that there's absolutely going to be the audience that is going to say Begonia was absolutely like high art compared to Avatar 3. How dare we go the opposite direction? But I think in terms of how much I enjoyed the project, how much I came out of it feeling like I've gotten something new under my belt, I would say Begonia. I think that that's the one that like I felt like it was really something different compared to a lot of other like standard cinema stuff. But at that same point, I think I had like 2 showings on like one of the first weekends that it was coming out. Like, this is absolutely not a widespread movie. Whereas Avatar, I think it is still doing great things. As widespread as it is, as much as it is like everyone and their mother's going to see this movie just because it is the next Avatar film, I think it was, like you said, it's taking this in a newer direction. It's moving these characters forward, and I appreciate that for the sake of the franchise that we have been following. So I'd also give it to Avatar, but it is such a wildly different comparison that it's hard to say.
They're very different, but they're very close in my mind overall, quality-wise, but for different reasons. But I think I would edge out to Avatar. So, all right, yeah. Avatar: Fire and Ash takes Best Sci-Fi Movie of 2025, based on, of course, what we've been able to cover up until this point. I'm sure, in the future we'll do Best of the Decade and all that when the time is right. All right, next up is one just for you. It's the penultimate category.
Oh, boy.
best homework movie of 2025.
Oh God. I really should have been organizing these a bit better. For anyone who has been following, I do homework at the end of every episode, and on my spreadsheet, I just make references to the episode number, not the title. And it's very.
That was a poor choice, David.
It absolutely was. All right, so best homework movie of 2025. Jesus. I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to have to go. Okay, got it. I know exactly what it is. Because I know I did this one semi-recently because it's still fresh in my mind. Episode 63. Let me double check to make sure. Oh, I don't even have that on here. I know I did it, though. Yep, there it is. For Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind, I did homework of Coherence.
Ah, there we go.
Yes. Coherence. That was a very pleasant little find. I did not know at all what I was getting into off the deep end there, but it was something that it left me so intrigued and so involved that it's definitely one that I need to go back and watch again, because it is very much a thing that I will get. I know I'll get more out of on repeat viewings. It's one that I'm going to be able to follow closer and also just get more little Easter eggs out of.
Yeah, I want the audience to know that's the only category that I definitely went in and edited some time out of just to speed up the process, because David took a good 5-10 minutes of looking at a spreadsheet trying to find what he did homework on this year.
I did. So. It's not in that order. I have which homeworks I've done and I have what I rated them. I do not have the correspondence of what year I did the homework in.
That is perfectly fine, but now you know for next year. It's coming.
Yes.
All right. So the final category, as it were, for the show, right, to wrap things up, although we can give some opinions on this, but ultimately we don't have to pick a winner because the audience have done this for us. But the final category is the best episode of the Ace of 2025.
Okay.
So we'll give our opinions.
How good we were at doing our job?
Yes, how good was the episode? The best discussion, however you want to think of it. We can give our opinions, but then we'll see what the top 10 is that the audience have voted for. So,
okay. All right.
What do you think our best episode was?
That's questionable.
Or maybe just a few if you like. Because I think the ones that tend to have the long run times, I think inherently tend to be some of the better discussions because we probably had a lot to say. So, I look at Avatar Fire and Ash, and obviously it was recent in my mind, so I can remember it very well, but there was a lot of in-depth, there was a lot to talk about. We were discussing characters, we were discussing, the ongoing themes, everything. There was a lot to break down. But arguably, on the flip side, I had a lot to say about Revenge of the Sith as well. I could tear that apart.
Absolutely. No, I agree that I think some of our best conversations come out of where like the stars align and it actually seems like for a moment we both know what we're talking about. Like when we actually have something to say. For
just a brief moment when the eclipse happens, there's just a moment where it's like, oh, we know what we're talking about, and then that moment passes.
Yep.
And then we're idiots
the next
again.
review, it's like, I don't know what a camera is. What are you talking about? So like for stuff like that, I honestly would say Save the Green Planet. I think we came in with very good ideas of like talking about the theming and stuff like that. I think we did a great job across there. From what I remember, Artifice Girl as well. I think that we had a very good discussion on like how we approach that stuff and like, the larger themes being played there.
It was a very serious topic as well that it was touching on. So, if I get through one of those episodes and feel like I didn't sound like a complete tit, then I'm probably happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say
the most fun I had was Megalopolis. I'll say that much.
Sure.
That movie was a blast.
I mean, that was an Extra Reels episode, basically.
Yep.
So I will say, I think Ikari XB1 was like a fun discovery. I don't know if it's going to be one that's voted for per se, but I think the idea of us like finding that movie and being like, hey, this is an interesting movie, people should go watch it. Here's why it's interesting. Like that's at least fun, I think, for us to do when we find something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's whenever there's one that we can come out of and say, here's something that is kind of a buried gem and that we don't think anyone has really talked about before. That's always fun to do. And again, with that idea that we're able to talk about it legitimately and competently and say, here's why it's good.
I think in a similar vein, Virtuosity. Less because it's a gem in a strict sense, but more just like, oh, this is a wild, entertaining movie that like more people should be aware of. Like, check this out. If I'm going to go to the flip side and say, okay, what are the worst episodes of the year? If I was to like name a few, I'd be like, it's probably the more forgettable movies, but things will be different. Ash, like it's like the ones where I'm like trying to like find something nice to say or anything to say.
Barbarella, because I felt like you were just sprinting through that whole review. You were like, I don't want to be here.
I was ready to be done. I didn't have anything to say about that. Yeah, there's a few like that. But at least something like Surrogates, there's definitely something to say. Like I come in with like a chip in my shoulder. I'm like, no, this needs to be torn apart. This thing's dog shit. Like we're talking about this.
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, it's the sort of thing where there are episodes, not specifically of the Ace, but of all the shows we do, where I will go back because I remember like fond moments from, and I just go and check those out. So you can count me for like 2 minutes of watch time every once in a while.
So I guess just before I tell you what the top 10 the audience voted for, do you have a guess at what they're going to put as number one?
Oh God. I see. That's the thing, is I don't know whether the audience loves us like bickering at each other, whether they love us like being able to talk competently. If I had to guess, I'd probably say one of the Star Wars. I think that one might actually top it out. Maybe Save the Green Planet, just because we keep talking about it so much in between Begonia and itself. Maybe they would have went back to check that out, but I'd say one of the Star Wars is going to be up there.
Well, without further ado, here's the top 10 episodes of the Atomic Cinema Experiment as voted for by our audience. And if you didn't get a chance to vote on this, we'll do it again next year. So you can vote for next year and be prepared. Take notes. All right. Number 10, The Gorge.
Okay. Surprise.
Number 9, Midnight Special.
Okay.
Number 8, Companion.
All right. See, people like that one.
Yeah. Number 7, Caddo Lake.
All right.
Number 6, They Clone Tyrone.
Cool.
Number 5, Megalopolis.
Oh, wow. That's farther than I thought it would be, but all right.
Number 4, Star Wars The Force Awakens.
All right. I'm close.
Number 3, Save the Green Planet.
Called that one higher up. All right.
Number 2, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Nice. I'm surprised. That one hasn't gotten many views comparatively.
More serious discussion, that one. And number 1, and this is surprising to me, honestly. I think I don't know if I'd have predicted most of what's on this top 10, if I'm being honest. But number 1, as voted for by our audience, The Running Man.
That's very surprising. Yeah. Which means that we need to argue more.
Yes, we need to fight. I think I think it depends on the fighting, but I do think I remember a comment or two saying that you were standing your ground more in that episode because you had like reasons to fight me, so maybe the fight was a bit more engaging than perhaps it sometimes otherwise is.
Yeah, where I'm just blindly flailing my arms and saying, no, I want to talk about it this way. Yes. Okay, got it. I like the idea, the way you phrase that is that you always have ground to stand on. You always are just, I always have solid ground, but David, he's just flimsy. He's flowing in the wind.
To be fair, we don't disagree that often. Like what? Like that Companion. We were talking about disagreements earlier. There was only a handful.
Absolutely.
So there you go. That's the top 10 episodes of the year. The Atomic Cinema Experiment. That has been 2025, and we start our journey in 2026 very soon. Tomorrow, I believe, when this goes out. Yes. Assuming I edit this in time for what I intend to do. So tomorrow we kick off with what was it? Rogue One this week? Is that what's out this week?
Yep.
Oh, geez.
We're starting it off.
Starting off with a really happy, positive discussion. That one. Oh, geez. So yes, hopefully you've enjoyed the Atomic Cinema Experiment through the year 2025, and we'll have another full year, pretty much, of episodes of 2026. And yeah, hopefully we'll see some interesting stuff. We'll have some journeys, explorations, all sorts. But if you want to support the show, oh yeah.
I was just going to bring up this year also, for anyone who wasn't aware, we're starting regular Godzillas. We're going through the whole series there. So be pumped for that over 2026.
Yeah. The current plan, it might change a little bit here or there, but the current plan is to roughly do one Godzilla movie a month so that we're sort of getting through them at a reasonable clip. But that's coming up over the next year. Support the show. You can do that on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV or via YouTube membership. Thanks to everyone who already does. Helps keep everything coming. You can do it for free as well, of course, by liking, subscribing, commenting, 5 stars on your podcast app. All that stuff helps out a bunch. And yeah, should be a new tradition. So, you know, if you weren't paying attention for the link to like vote and all this stuff, it gets posted on the YouTube post section. It gets posted on the Discord, the primary locations. So keep a lookout there if you want to be on board with that. If I remember next year, I'll maybe try and post it in the description of the episodes as well, just in case people... I mean, I find it's really difficult to click on stuff in descriptions of podcast episodes, but some people might use different apps that make it easier.
Yeah. I don't know.
But anyway, regardless, hopefully you had a fun 2025 with us. Have a good new year. And obviously we do also have a collector's cut end of year special coming just a couple of days time with a lot of the same categories, maybe a couple tweaked ones obviously to fit the show, but we'll see you for that. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time. Keep watching Science Fiction and Computer at Salsa.